Spinning going live. Oh, now we're live. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining me from. I am Carol C.C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life Chats, where the intention is to focus on heightening celebrations and lessening sorrows through a positive focus. As you can see, I have guests here today with me, which I will introduce in just a moment. So join us in comments and certainly share where you're joining us from. I'm in Chicago. I'll let these ladies tell you where they are in this beautiful and messy world we live in. And I'd like to say a couple of things before we get started, especially if you're new to my work. And one is I am not an absolutist. I am not a big fan of the words always, never, right, wrong, good, or bad. There are 7 billion people on this planet. I can't begin to say what is always right for 7 billion people. So I work on the majority of the time, 0 being always negative, 100 being always positive. I don't know anybody who's a 0. I don't know anybody who's a 100. And my daily practice, my writing, my coaching, my speaking is about being positive, and I'm not 100% positive. So I work on the 80 to 100% of the time being loving, kind, compassionate, peaceful, and positive. What does that mean? Fear visits me, frustration, unworthiness, disappointment. All of those things visit me, but because of my daily practices, they just visit, they don't move in. And secondly, I'm a coach. I love supporting people on living their best life, whatever that looks like. I am not a counselor, nor am I a therapist. And some people need that type of support in order to live their best life. I just know you're worthy of living your best life. So I encourage you, whether it's a coach, therapist, clergy member, best friend, whoever it is, to create your support system to live your best life. So those are the two things. We got Bobby Joe's in the house, Catherine, Helen, Christy, Stacia. Welcome everyone. And our topic today is on self-love and what does that mean? So if you've joined me before, I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I usually define the word that we're talking about, and then we're going to go from there where I'm going to introduce you to the ladies who have joined me before, thankfully, and are here again to talk about what self love means to them. But the definition of the Merriam Webster's definition is an appreciation of one's own worth or virtue. Again, it's an appreciation of one's own worth or virtue. So now I'm going to have these ladies introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with Shawna because she's up in my right-hand corner on the screen. So Shawna, let everyone know who you are and what does self-love mean to you?
Hello, I'm Shawna Marie Fisher, and gosh, what self-love means to me is it's about embracing the parts of yourself that maybe you don't always love, right? That's a big part of self-love is the parts that we, doubt and maybe, self-criticize and what if kind of ourselves. It's like really, digging deeper into maybe how we can give ourselves more self-love in those areas.
I love that. Especially I love the embracing part since I'm all about hugs. And how about you, Rachel?
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Rachel Elizabeth. I'm an intuitive artist and jewelry designer that incorporates the healing modalities of the Tree of Life into my work. Self love. Well, that's a tough one because there's been years in my life where I didn't have self love or compassion for myself. And I feel like that comes with actual age and you give yourself more grace as you age, if you're lucky enough to age. So self-love is you have to is being in the present moment. You have to take time for yourself and really giving yourself compassion.
I love it. And Giuliana, welcome, welcome, and tell us
Good
who
morning.
you are and what your thoughts are on self love.
I'm Giuliana Mello. I live here in Calgary, Alberta. And it's interesting because as I listened to the ladies, I really had to sit with what does self love mean to me? And it's a concept that I've only in the last, would say, 6 years really have embraced. And it's to see myself through the eyes of compassion that,
Mm,
oh, I'm getting all God bumps. No matter what, I'm worthy. And that means that even though I may not have shown up for others the way that they needed me to show up, that like I think it was Rachel said, that, that divine grace is flowing to me, and that I can fill myself with that and see myself through the eyes of compassion. It has not been easy. Self-love might seem all those frou-frou things, like, getting your nails done, or a facial or whatever, but truly it's way deeper than that. It's digging deep, like Shawna said, to those parts of you that maybe you did not love before for whatever reason. Maybe you see yourself as wounded or a victim, and some of us are, depending on our stories, and really embracing healing. For me, that's what self-love has been. It's been a journey of healing with so much love.
I love that. I think that it goes into what I say just in general, that I can unconditionally love everyone. My participation comes on respect and all those type of things. So I think it's about I can love myself and then figure out how to also like myself sometimes. But it really is like we're all worthy just because we're here, and that doesn't mean that we remember that we're all worthy just because we're here. So, what are some things that you each do? And now it's open to, I'm not going to call on anybody specifically, but what are some things that you do? And I would love the people watching to put in comments that when you're feeling less than, what are some things that you do to fill your cup back up to really nourish who you are and who you want to be?
Wow, that's such a good question, Carol. So for me, I go for a walk, right? That always helps me to kind of just regroup and recenter. And then I spend time with my animals and just being in their presence, right? It always reminds us of that self love and that unconditional love that they always have for us, whether, we have our makeup on, whether our hair's done, or whether there's dishes in the sink. They always love us in our imperfections and our perfections. So I really just spend time with them, and then time in nature is so healing to me. So
I don't remember it exactly, but there's always this meme that says to love yourself, or to be the person that your dog thinks you are, or whatever. It's just so true that's true unconditional love. Kate Williams says meditation, walks in nature, art, affirmations, and animals. I am absolutely an affirmation person. I would love to tell you I'm a meditation person, but meditation is not my strength. Literally stop and breathe, Toby says. Gina, take time away from everything. How about Juliana or Rachel? Juliana?
I had to get my butt into mentoring. I had to find a teacher to help me heal, because I didn't know. Just my old story is I had stage 3 peritoneal cancer in 2011 and 2012. And when I, by the grace of God, began my healing journey, I knew that I wanted something different. And so I found a teacher, and I've stayed with her all these years, and I've had many teachers, as a matter of fact, to help me with so many. Oh, I'm getting super hot, because it's been such a journey of discovery of who am I, what are my wounds, how do I heal them, and how do I show up in life. And it has been hard. I'm not good at candy code. It has been, when I was getting ready this morning, first of all, I was in so much gratitude to each of you, because I know you all. And, receiving my necklace last night, I knew I wanted to wear it, from Rachel Elizabeth. And I was so grateful that I've had this community to grow in, to heal in, to learn, to expand, and to show up who I am. This is
Yeah.
where I feel the most me. And I want to thank you, Carol and Shawna and Rachel, because in these communities, spiritual communities, you can show up with that perceived darkness, which really is always light. However, sometimes we have to go through those really hard periods to discover who we are, and what we want, and what we want to create, and the people that we want to have in our life. And so, that's gratitude really has helped me, and forgiveness of myself. So I just want to thank you all for that.
Well, and thank you. I'm grateful for you being here. And Catherine saying walking and spending time with her rabbit and helping others. Catherine, I love that comment. And I was wondering about even bringing this topic up because often people will say if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And again, I'm not a always never person. That could be the majority of time right. But there are people who have not had love. So they've had to learn self love from others. And when you help others, I absolutely think helping others is a form of doing self love for myself. It's been 2 years now since I've been able to do hugs, but I remember people used to constantly tell me how amazing and thanking me for what I was doing out there. And I'm like, it's one of the most selfish things I do because it feels so good to help others. So, in some respects, helping others for me, not everyone, but for me, is a form of self love. Now, it can get to where I'm helping too much and I'm not re-nourishing and replenishing myself. So there is that as well. But I definitely think helping other people is supportive. Oh yeah, I'm not going to say this right, Kate. The Ho'oponopono, the forgiveness technique is really really good, and I don't know if you spelled it correctly, and I know I didn't say it correctly. Does anybody else know how
I,
Ho'oponopono? Is that how you say it?
I think so. I think you got
Okay,
that. Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
So
Um,
I go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Rachel.
Well, just to kind of piggyback off what Juliana was saying was, I community was came to me right away, and the mentoring and the finding the right teachers, because self love, when you, is what you feed yourself to. Now, I mean, obviously, like Shawna was saying, with like getting your hair done and the makeup and all that. Yeah, that's great, but it's the books you read, it's the people you surround yourself with. I mean, what is that? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Hmm.
And I and what and the shifts and the people that will just come to you when you're ready to put that out there, when you're ready to start your healing journey, because I'm right there with you. It's messy, it's not easy, but it's necessary to be of service, like Carol was saying, because
Yeah.
then you will find your purpose and why you're here, and it can be just life changing.
Well, and I think just what you were saying as far as all of three of you have said that I think people when you use the word love, they think of unicorns, rainbows, and it being to me, love is one of the hardest things. Like, it's easy to be in fear. I can find reasons to be fearful like that. But to step truly into the power of love, that's where the practice and the courage takes place in order to truly show up as love. I think it's pretty easy to show up in our fearful places, especially when it's right in front of us and there are reasons to be afraid of certain things. So it's not fear is not a wrong thing to be. It's just where you want to spend the most time in it. Oh, Stacia is loving your puppy there, Juliana, and
Yeah, thank you. Say hi, Maxie.
little Max.
That's
And
lovely.
Rachel has cats, I believe, right, Rachel?
I have 3 cats. One is
Three.
22 years old.
Oh my goodness. Now that
Yeah.
is a
She doesn't do much anymore. She kind of just eats and sleeps, but she's just a little bundle of love, and she's just hanging on.
so you kind of all have discussed about your healing journey. What are some things that you have done that, like some tips that you could provide for our audience to be able to step a little bit into more loving themselves?
For me, the very first step was forgiveness of myself. I couldn't step forward until I forgave myself, because then by forgiving myself, I could forgive others. And it hasn't always been easy because, we have that ego that wants to keep us small. And so as I learned to love myself, it was through the power of forgiveness, of saying, even though I did X, Y, and Z, I love and appreciate myself. And the Queen, Louise Hay, is the one who truly taught me, through the power of affirmations and
Hmm.
seeing myself through the eyes of love, being kind to my own mind. She has, I think she calls them, well, 10 steps, and you can look that up on Google, but definitely forgiveness was the number one for me.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one. Um, Hi, Carmela. Yes, I know Laura's not on this, but I don't know if she's just moved or in the process of moving, but if you talk to her, please send her my love. So, ladies, how about anything else that you would give on tips on what you do as far as, and I think the forgiveness thing before I go to you, Rachel, is for me, it's also steps in forgiveness. Like, you forgive this, and maybe I was just talking about this yesterday when we were talking about the work of Byron Katie. You can do the work on the stressful thought, you can do the work on what you need to forgive yourself for, but it's usually in layers. So it's not like you do it one time and okay, now I'm done. I don't need to forgive myself anymore. I'm healed. It's usually little steps towards feeling that. And I don't know about you, but I don't know that I'll ever like there will always be things that I can work on within myself to love myself a little bit more, to love humanity a little bit more. So it's not the end journey for me. Or not the end of it, but it's really the journey and moving forward through it that I think sometimes people think that it's a one step and you're just done with it, but life changes and evolves and we keep moving forward and growing, hopefully. So, Rachel, I hope you didn't forget what you were going to
No,
say.
no. I was going to say that a tip for me personally has been not comparing myself to other people, which is huge because like we can so easily do that, right? Oh, she has this or she has that or she acts that way, and gosh, I wish I was like this, and I wish it's the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, so what I've learned in this entrepreneurship journey, in this healing journey, is not to get too far ahead of myself, to really enjoy the journey and stop comparing. Because like when, especially like, okay, I'm a jewelry artist, so now I want to have the website up and I want to have the money made, and no, enjoy the journey, enjoy the learning and the process. That was been huge for me, and not compare.
Comparison is always been a huge thing for me. I remember, and this was several years ago, where I've worked with many of the different mentors and speakers that we love, and one of my favorites is Iyanla Van Zant. And I had the opportunity to introduce her. I was the MC of an event, so I'm introducing her, who I absolutely adore and admire her work. And then she comes on for 90 minutes and talks for 90 minutes as if it was prepared for 3 months, that's something she had just thought about the night before. And I'm like, I just basically trembled over a 3-minute introduction, and you're talking for 90 minutes. And my friend's like, she's been doing this for like 30 years. Why are you comparing yourself to her? I'm like, okay, I shouldn't not be comparing myself to her, but I love her so much. So it's easy to get into that comparison, even on people that you really admire and want to be more like. So I think that's a great tip, is to it's with awareness. When we're aware of how we're feeling, then we can move forward into shifting it from comparison kind of thing. How about you, Shauna?
Oh my gosh, such a good like insight here. This is so amazing. So for me, one thing that helps me like as, on a healing journey is to kind of, some people, like talk it out, right? That can help, talk it out. But to me, like when I'm working on my healing journey, I do a lot through like writing. Writing
Mm.
really helps me process things. So, when I've kind of gone through things, I just take pen to paper and just write it out. Sometimes I, crumple it up and throw it away. Sometimes I rip it up, or sometimes it's just good to get it out. Is really, a good part of that healing journey. And then finding that, community, right? That community support is really important too. So.
Yeah, and I think the journaling part or anything, it's getting it out of your body is helpful to release it some way there. So I think those are all really helpful tips. Does anybody else have any questions that you want here? Rena is here. Kate, we've already said. Kate's Kate, what are you meaning by spirals? I'm not sure what you mean there, but you might have said that to something else that I totally missed. But so what are some things, so you do the journaling, you do the forgiveness work, the non-comparison, are there other things that you do, or how do you treat yourself when you are noticing that you're not loving yourself and you're not taking care of yourself?
I definitely, being an angel person, I turn to the divine, because in their eyes or in their energy, we're whole, perfect, and complete, and we've done nothing wrong in truth. And so for me, it's praying in a way that feels good. And it's asking them to help me lift my vibration. And maybe this sounds a little bit woo, but when you're low, and if you're in a state of unforgiveness of yourself or somebody else, you need to bring that vibe up. And the
Yeah.
angels and goddesses and guides and God, if you believe in a God or universe, whatever that source is, they help us. They'll come to us. And so for me, that is definitely what I turn to. And I ask them. And then I listen through my intuition as to how they're guiding me. And some days it could be, like Shawna said, moving my body, or like Rachel says, other days creating things, using your power that's within you. That's another thing, finding out that I had this power, not an ego power, but a spirit power, a power of the divine within me to push through whatever earth school lessons that I'm walking through. I'm very passionate about self-love because it's the reason I'm here with you today, because I did not love myself. And I learned, from one of our teachers that cancer is deep resentment held in the body. And for me, that scared the crap out of me. I was like, well, if I manifested stage 3 cancer, I don't want it again. And unfortunately, my oncologist had said to me, if it was going to come back, the cancer, it was going to come back after 5 years. So when I hit that 5-year milestone, like so many that celebrate, I still did celebrate, but there was this little seed in my
Mhm.
brain. And so that's why I show up every day as much as I can to heal and support myself through, maybe, like, I don't know who said it, acts of service. I think you, Carol, you're a hug queen. And so, doing things every day, it's different every day, because every day I feel different.
Right. I mean, every day our best self is different. Like if you're
Right.
under the weather, your best self
Yeah,
that day is different. If you're in deep grief for something, your best self might be just getting out of bed that day.
exactly.
It's just whatever nurtures you. And Kate, here, let me see. And again, for everyone, sometimes I don't see the comments until after the live is over. So I'm not intentionally ignoring anybody here, but I do want to say, oh, here, Linda, who would like to? I don't think your self love is very hard when you're so broken inside. How do you pick yourself back up? So, what are some tips when you're at that you're at your worst moment?
I think
Oh,
it's to be tender. Oh, sorry, Shauna. I'm so sorry, sister.
Oh, no, it's
Go
okay.
ahead.
It's okay. So, gosh, just sending you so much love, Linda. So, when I'm kind of feeling in that point, I'm like, kind of looking around my space right now as I say this. It's kind of maybe looking around your space and doing some like organizing and clearing and just kind of maybe moving some stuff around. I know for me personally, that kind of can help me shift things and kind of pick me up, because I'm like, oh, cool, I moved this around, it changed the energy, and it feels fresh and it feels new. Sometimes that's a thing that can be really helpful. At least
Yeah.
I find that helpful for myself.
Juliana?
Oh, I was just going to say, when there are those days that you feel so broken, something can happen. You might get a diagnosis, or someone might hurt you, or you might lose something. And I am just very gentle with myself. Like, if I'm not feeling good, then, I've learned from our mentor that, not to quit, just to rest, that you don't need to be doing all the time, to be gentle with myself. And some days that is, just, having a shower and putting on clean pajamas and just doing your best to get through the day, and maybe doing one thing, eating good or drinking your water in a wine glass. I mean, these little things really help you pick yourself back up, and it's one step and then the next step. It's baby steps. And then before you know it, you start, it's like that analogy that you're running. Not that you need to run at any time. However, it's just that energetic pickup. Pick yourself up
Yeah.
one step. Do one thing today to nourish you.
And go ahead, Rachel.
And you basically just said everything I was gonna say. But I was gonna and I was like, you know what though? And it's okay. Sit in bed, watch Netflix. Don't do anything. Have compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that low place, you're allowed to sit there and feel it. You gotta feel it to heal it, and sit there. And if maybe the next day you feel like taking a shower and doing a load of laundry, good for you. You've accomplished something. And for me too, compassion and like gratitude is huge. Like music is always a good way to pick yourself back up. Put on your favorite song, get out, dance if you don't feel like it. Just get up and dance and be grateful for that warm cup of coffee in your hand or just like those fresh new sheets. I mean, these are like the little things that are big things.
I love that. And I was actually going to say that as far as the gratitude and to be able to, like, it is okay. Only you know how long staying in the same pair of pajamas is going to be okay for you. It could be 2 days, it could be a week, it could be whatever is right for you to feel what you feel. And gratitude is a huge aspect of my life. And I use this example like when you're in that broken space, go into gratitude for things that we normally take for granted. My mom's been gone 3.5 years now, but the last few years of her life, she needed oxygen support to live. I've never before that thought about how grateful that I was that I breathe on my own. And with her experience, I realized I take it for granted because it's just there. I don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, body, breathe now. It just does it for me. And with my mom, I was grateful that there was medical technology that allowed her to continue to breathe. Be grateful for the warm bed that you're sleeping in if you're sleeping in a warm bed. So go back to things that most people don't even think about being grateful for because most of it is happening for you. And to be gentle with yourself in those broken places. I think all of you are friends with this person. I won't mention his name, but he shares it on social media. So it is not hidden because he is here to witness people. And he has addiction issues and he is currently going through another bout of it, but he is sharing it to be seen, to be witnessed. So sometimes it's to reach out to somebody to let them know that you're hurting right now and what they can do. And maybe it's just to sit with you in silence. Maybe it's to offer suggestions on something that you could do. Maybe it's encouraging you to seek counseling or therapy to not feel broken. It really just matters to know kind of when we go back to the definition is your feeling of worth and feeling of value. And I can't give you that self-worth. These ladies can't give you that self-worth. We can give you tips and encourage you to have that self-worth, but that's the part that you have to take on for yourself. So, Linda, if any of these tips helped, I would love to know. I think all of us here are sending you a lot of love. Yes, Shauna.
I was going to say, I was going to piggyback on what you said, Carol. I was going to mention being gentle with yourself. That's such a great reminder. And then the gratitude piece, even just, writing it down or waking up every morning and just say, hey, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for this, or even having a jar. I've often thought about making like a gratitude jar,
Mhm.
put things that I'm grateful for in, and then maybe pick one out every day. I've heard of people do that. I actually have a friend that, she saves her fortune cookie things, and she has a little jar and she picks them sometimes, which I think that's so cool. It's whatever kind of brings you that joy, right? And that gentleness for yourself. It's super important.
Well, and I think it's important because I know just like coaching, you think, well, I have everything right and doing every gentleness, self-gentleness is one of the things that I have to work on daily because I often will get off of these lives and immediately think, well, why did you say that? Or you should have said this. And I'm like, I'm here trying to help people and I'm already beating myself up moments after I turn the camera off. So I don't want people to think that the gentleness, the forgiveness work is necessarily easy, but it's a daily practice. Can you forgive yourself like that? Possibly. I'm not one of them. So it's really about putting yourself in a space to be gentle. So when I catch myself, why did you say that? It's like, well, I apparently needed to say that. Or just being gentle with myself that I slipped up on something or whatever. But my inclination is to beat my beat myself up is probably too harsh of a word, but my inclination is to why did you do that rather than good job on doing that. So I hear myself being negative towards myself and then I can fix it from there because now I'm aware of it instead of allowing it to just simply take over. I say this often on these lives when you're an autopilot, life is living you. When you're in awareness, you are living life. You get to decide, you know what, right now I don't feel good and I'm okay not feeling good. Or this doesn't feel good. What can I do to feel a little bit better? But only you are going to be able to determine that. Stacy, I had something. I'm going to try to share it here and hopefully I can read it. So, most people pretend they are happy or try to convince others their life is perfect to others, so don't always believe what you see. My sister is a big one for that online. Her life, Stacy, I know some people personally who make it sound like their lives are beautiful online, and what I witnessed behind the Facebook um, words is not that. So, you really do want to be authentic to yourself too. Um, Trips and things, but a lot of image. So, yes, live each day and be happy on your own. And there's that, even there's a fine line with that, because you certainly want to be happy on your own and to show up. Like for me with Facebook, I don't do it necessarily as much on Positive Focus as I do on my personal page, but I do share gratitude and what I'm grateful for. And when I try to share my challenges, I try to do it in a way to elevate those challenges, because it's easy to say something went wrong and you're going to get a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. And then they bring that heavier energy with you instead of trying to raise up from the energy. So it's a, for me personally, it's um, I weigh on what I'm going to share um, on Facebook, because I want to keep people moving in the direction of what they like rather than what they don't like. Not negating, not pretending what I don't like. I have things in my world that I don't like. So it's not about pretending they don't exist, but I don't want to give them the elevated energy to be shifted into that space. So I hope that makes sense. And Kate, the lessons come back, different levels for healing. Absolutely. Trying to see. I don't see any other questions here. Oh, one thing that helps me is to make a couple of goals a day in the morning on paper. Then, if you're able to cross off tasks at night, you feel more accomplished. Stacey, I love that idea. And what I recommend with people, one of the first things I do when I'm coaching somebody is I ask them, if you have a list of 10 things and you get 8 of them done, are you congratulating yourself on, and you may have a great reason why those 2 didn't get done. Are you congratulating yourself on the accomplishing 8, or are you wondering why you didn't accomplish 2? If you're congratulating yourself, keep that list going. But if you are beating yourself up for not getting those 2 done, then I highly encourage you to lessen the list to, like you said, 2 or 3 things done. I'm a big believer in under promising and over delivering, because if I've said I'm going to do 5 things, I'm that person. If I say I'm going to do 5 and I only get 3 done, I tend to wonder why I didn't get those other 2 done. So that's something that I do personally, is I like to under promise and over deliver. Yes, Juliana.
I was going to say, Kate asked about the rocks in our community, and yes, Vicky Martinelli creates love rocks and kindness rocks, all kinds of rocks that are amazing.
And
And
she
for
made one
Lisa,
for me. I don't have it here. She
yeah,
made
I
me a
have
hug
mine
rock.
there in my dining room. And if it's okay, I'd like to address Lisa, because she says, "What if you have the awareness of not being kind to yourself or feeling stuck, but it seems like nothing in the toolbox shifts at what works for you?" And I want to say,
Mm.
when you get nervous, focus on service, because I know when you give of yourself to somebody else, that divine alchemy happens. Ooh, I'm getting all goosies again. So I know that I'm guiding her on the right, um, hopefully the right tool to help you shift the funk, is to give of yourself. Go out into the community. Maybe if you love dogs, at the dog shelter, if you love cats, with animals or with the homeless, or give something away. Do a random act of kindness. For me, it automatically shifts the funk. And before you know it, you're starting to feel a little bit better.
I love that tip. And Lisa, something else, and thank you, Juliana, for seeing that. I had missed her comment. Something I do that helps me is I just simply start saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you is a high energy. And I could be like, because I try, again, I'm not 100% at any of it. When I get into that funk or something, I just go into thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it shifts it. Sometimes I have to say it 20 times. Sometimes it's just okay, Carol, go into gratitude and say thank you. But the word thank you in Japanese is arigato. And I shared this a few weeks ago when we talked about thank you. And I'm probably going to misspeak on it this time because I don't have it in front of me. But there's a practice. His name is Ken Honda, and he's called the Zen millionaire in Japan. But he has a practice called arigato in and arigato out, and it's for money. So when you're spending money, you say thank you that you have the funds to spend. When money is coming to you, you say thank you. So act of service, I arigato. So when you're focused on the gratitude, the thankfulness of it, that's going to help shift. And just as Rachel said too, I think it's important for people to know that sometimes you're just not going to feel okay. And with the awareness of it, be gentle with yourself and you get to determine. I can't tell you, depending on what's going on in your life, it may be feeling not so good for a morning. It may be a 3-day event that has you feeling not your best. But it's not about beating yourself up for where you're at. It's about feeling where you feel and determining when you're ready to feel a little bit better. I think a lot of us go from not feeling good and we want to feel joy. And people could probably go from feeling awful to joy, but I think most of us need steps to get there. So instead of wanting to be joyful all of a sudden, what will feel just a little bit better from where you are? And self gentleness and self love are certainly ways towards that. I hope that helped, Lisa. And thank you again, Juliana. I totally missed her comment.
And to touch on the gratitude practice again, and I just something popped into my head about Michael Beckwith had said this years ago that when he gets out of bed, the first thing he does is he puts one foot down, he says thank, and the other foot down, he says thank you, because he's already showing appreciation and gratitude for this day, for being alive. And I do that all the time, and it does create a massive shift.
I love that. And I think just even the thank you, like when you can get into the thank you for this, what might be a fear thought for you, I get into, well, thank you because it's brought up an awareness of something that I don't like. So now I can shift it. Again, if I'm saying autopilot and I just go into blame, shame, I'm going to take that back. Blame, shame, and complain. I am not a shamer. Those words, I'm a word sensitive person. So shame is a big one for me. But I can get into blame and I can get into complain. So when I go into being in the space of gratitude, it keeps me out of blame, shame, and complain. Because generally speaking, not everyone, but when you're in blame, shame, and complain, you tend to not look for solutions. You keep yourself stuck in the energy of what you don't want rather than lifting yourself into the energy of what you do want.
I love what you just said, Carol, because, one of our mentors, Sunny Dawn Johnson, in mentoring, she says, I'll give you 10 minutes. And some days when I can hear her in my head, I'm like, F this, I need this whole day.
Yeah.
Because, depending on my life and what's going on, I need to sit in my stuff. And really, some days I just say, oh, that's interesting, Jules. Why are you in such a crappy mood? What has got you so ungrounded or unnerved? And what I'm noticing now as an empath, like in Alberta right now, yesterday, our premier decided to get rid of the vaccine passport. And this morning, of course, there's this storm around. And I thought, okay, today, thank goodness I'm doing this with the ladies because I'm going to be in a high vibe. And I'm just going to cut out all this noise of what's going on because we're so polarized up here in Alberta. And I want to be the change I want to see. So I'm going to show up loving and kind and stay neutral. So, you can choose. This is where, going back to the power that I spoke about at the top of the show, seeking within, because it's not external. The mentors can show us where to look, but they can't show us what to see. We need to do the work. So on those days where we're in that crap mood or something really crappy has happened, we need to dig deep and we need to decide what's going to help us today. Is it going to be a half a jar of ice cream? Maybe it is, and that's okay. Maybe it's going to be the Netflix, even though Sunny says, don't use your time on Netflix and ice cream. However, I can choose that if I need that today, that's okay. And while I didn't feel good, there were a lot of days that I did watch a lot of Netflix. And that's okay. I was gentle with myself. So, I hope that what they get from me is that there is no right or wrong, good or bad. You can have the days that you feel like everything is just crappy, and you can still be grateful that you're alive in that day. And
Yeah.
so I love everything that you've said, because to me, it's my truth.
Yeah. Kate, I'm
Thank
going to have
you.
Juliana answer that in just a moment as well. But I think for me, it's also like being in the feeling of what you're feeling. It's not ignoring that you don't feel good. Because like if you were to do 10 minutes and I'll go 10 minutes is off, now I have to feel good. If you're not ready to move forward, then you're just not ready to move forward. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me with teaching and speaking about positivity is that so many people think that being positive means rainbows and unicorns and pretending the world is wonderful. I think this world is beautiful and I think this world is messy. So it's about bringing as much joy, love, kindness, compassion, and peace to the messy parts while we enhance the parts that we're loving and joyful about. And um, Juliana, Kate has a question specifically for you regarding the cancer.
Thank you, Kate. So I feel this question, and what I can honestly say from my heart, and everybody's going to have their own belief system. I believe in God, and so that is my first thing. And when you have a belief in something greater than you, then I recognize that my life is finite and that I am here in physical as a spirit embodied for a finite period of time. And that is why each day I do give gratitude for this day, because I know this day is a gift. When you are in fear, and believe me when I say, I used to be that girl. I used to be the one that was scared of everything. And then what I needed to do was I needed to step into trusting the process of life. I needed to trust that God that I believe in. I needed to trust my journey, and that even if the cancer returns, that is thy will be done in my life and not my will is being done in my life. So I choose each day to be grateful. I choose each day to show up. And when the fear comes to visit, I flip it very fast. Whether it's, FaceTiming a friend or sitting in prayer, having my mother pray over me, talking to the priest, going to church. And right now during COVID, it's been online, sitting with my angels, moving my energy, moving my body 30, coloring. And remember, dear Kate, when you cannot want for another, so even though she's afraid of the cancer returning, what you can do is visualize her healthy and affirm health every time you talk to her. Ask her, how are you feeling? But not allowing her to be the victim. Instead, empowering her to make a decision that is going to be, I'm getting goosies again, that is going to be healthy for her today, like drinking her water, moving her body, eating green, getting into prayer and meditation, maybe seeking out a mentor, forgiveness. There's a whole, if she ever wants to talk, I'm available to be of service. And I love doing this. It is my greatest honor to help somebody. So if you want to give her my name, that would be okay too. So I don't hog up all the energy today. But thank you for the question.
That was a
And I
great question. And I just wanted to add to that because I am not, hopefully, I will never have cancer, but I've not had cancer. But what Juliana said at the end too, it's like, especially when it's somebody we love, we want to take them out of fear. We want them to do the work to feel better and to heal and all that stuff. And darn it, we can't make people do what they aren't ready to do or maybe don't want to do. So when Juliana was mentioning, as far as, send her that love and ask her, you need to figure out if she even wants to hear those questions from you. But you can, without her participation, send her love. So I don't remember, I don't know where you're from, Kate, and so this may not even be a global issue. It certainly seems to be prevalent in the U.S. for sure. Juliana, my guess is you've experienced this too, that we tend to believe that worrying is showing that we love somebody. And like, I'm worried about your health. I'm worried about what you're eating. I'm worried if you're getting enough sleep. But worry itself is a lower energy. I heard this years ago, and it really was hard to hear at first because I didn't agree with it. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, oh, yeah, that is true for me. Is you cannot love and worry at the same time. You can have a loving thought and a worry thought, loving worry, but they are different energies. Love is a higher energy, worry is a lower one. So when you start worrying about your sister and her fears of her cancer, stop right there and just send her love. You may be able to share it with her to send her love with her acknowledgement and help her introduce her to Giuliana and do all that stuff. But if she is not ready for it, she's just going to rebuke it and tell you you're crazy or whatever because you don't have cancer. I do. You don't know what I'm going through. So just kind of feel out where she's at on that. But you can always send somebody love, even if they're not ready to accept it. Love penetrates anything. It may take longer if they have a really hard armor suit on to protect themselves. But love, you can send her love regardless of what's going on. So I would encourage you to do that as well. And there was somebody here who commented, "Oh, I've lost their comment." Darcy, I wake up angry because I have to face another day in this world. Darcy, I first of all, what you're experiencing sounds like it's a little deeper than what I could support you in. So I really encourage you to look for counseling and therapy. But I absolutely believe you're worth being here. And I absolutely send you all sorts of love. And if any of these tips that we've given you on just starting your day, putting your feet out of bed, saying thank you, finding the smallest things to be grateful for. I don't know if you were on the call earlier, but my mom needed oxygen for her last few years of her life. I never in my life thought to be grateful that I was breathing. Now that's something that I'm grateful for. So come into the smallest things that you can think of to bring a little bit more um, kindness to yourself. And I just know that you're worthy of that kindness, and I hope you seek out the support. Ladies, does anyone else have some recommendations for Darcy?
I just kind of wanted to just say that I almost didn't want to come show up here today, and the reason for that is a wonderful couple and friend of mine lost their 31-year-old son yesterday. So I spent time with them yesterday. And the thing about grief that nobody tells you is that it triggers your own every single time. So to see my friend lose his son was really difficult. And I got up in the mindset of, well, I'm going to be with you lovely ladies, like Giuliana said. And I do a 3-card spread in my group every Wednesday, and people are relying on me because now I have built this little community of a jewelry group. And I'm like, well, I am now, people are relying on me. And it wasn't a feeling of like, oh God damn. It was like, wow, people are relying on me, so I'm going to show up. But I didn't, it was hard. And it doesn't mean showing up is going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but you choose to do it. So I just figured I'd share that.
That's beautiful. And sending so much love to your friends because they say losing a child is the hardest thing to deal with. Personally, having a child missing where you don't know what's going on with them, I feel is harder. But it's certainly, we're not expected for our children to go before us. So sending so much love on that. And Stacy, I don't know if you're still here, but I just know that you're worthy of feeling a little bit better, not necessarily stepping into joy right away. It's going to take some time, but to know that you're worthy to be here. Juliana, were you wanting to say
Yeah,
something?
I just wanted to say to dear Darcy, because I'm feeling her, it's okay to feel angry. We don't know your
Mhm.
story. So I want to say, I acknowledge you. You are worthy, just like Carol said. And I acknowledge your anger, and it's okay to be angry. And I don't know who says this, but anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Obviously, that great creator thinks that you are worthy of being here, and that's why you wake up each day. And I hope that maybe you'll, decide to do something for you because you deserve a great life, no matter what your story is, and that your story matters. You might want to share with somebody that you feel safe, because healing begins when you can share your story in safe places. That's what happened for me. And that's why I love each of these ladies, because they know things about me. I've shared. Carol knows there's been days I couldn't show up because my special needs adult son has turned everything upside down. And, there are things that you can do to get through this day. Acknowledge the anger and maybe
Yeah.
choose, not maybe, cancel maybe. If you feel guided to choose one thing that you're grateful for today, that you can choose that little bit of joy each day. And then maybe tomorrow you can choose two things and be very gentle with you. If you haven't seen the whole show, you might want to go back and rewatch it, because I think you'll find that you'll feel some guidance and be guided by that, because I felt your words, and I know that these last 2 years have been extremely difficult, more so than
Mhm.
ever in our lifetimes. And so if it's okay with you, we'll all send you so much love, like the ladies said, because that's what we can do for you, is send you so much
Absolutely.
love from our heart to yours.
And thank you so much, Juliana, for pointing out that anger is not a bad thing. It is a human experience. We all have it. It's what you do with it to move through it. You get to decide how long, and getting to decide might not be the right words because something might be overtaking you in the moment. But through awareness, then you can allow it to dissipate. And what are you going to do with it? But um, we're
Yeah,
just
because
sending you so
sometimes
much
I
love.
wake up, Carol, and most people think I'm this loving, kind, well mannered, well adjusted. And I am that. However, there are days where I do wake up and I'm angry. I'm
Yeah,
angry. And I need to allow myself to feel it. And whether it's journaling, like the lady said, or writing and ripping and throwing it away, or moving your energy, or,
yeah,
punching a pillow safely, you can deal with that anger in healthy ways. Unhealthy ways are, drinking or abusing yourself in some other way. You want to find a healthy way of dealing with that anger, of voicing it, allowing yourself to be heard and
yeah.
acknowledging, even though I feel angry as shit, I love and appreciate myself.
Absolutely. And the anger, the fear, the disappointment, the frustration, the worry, all of those things are within you that want to be heard and acknowledged. When you pretend they're not there, they're going to probably, not always, but probably going to speak up, and they're probably going to speak up a little louder until you do give them. So, I mean, sometimes just even acknowledging that I'm frustrated about something, that simple acknowledgement dissipates it. Other times I need to work through the frustration a little bit more, but it's really about paying attention to who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to show up in the world for yourself and for others. I've heard anger is when we are disappointed with the actions of someone we love. I'll have to think. I'm going to have to think about that one. I definitely think that that is part of anger, but I'm curious. Yes, Juliana.
I'm hearing anger is guilt turned inwards, and I probably learned that from Sunny Dawn Johnston. Anger is guilt turned inwards. So where are you feeling? That's why acknowledging it. Why
Yeah.
am I feeling angry? How about just sitting with that? Why do I feel angry each day? Why? And be honest with yourself. Like
Yeah.
we've learned, you can't BS the universe or yourself, because you really know why you're angry.
You
Why
can
are
try.
you angry? Yeah.
Yeah.
And journal on that, and maybe phone a friend. Maybe you don't have friends that you can trust right now. Examine that. And then, like we said, maybe you want to join one of our communities. I mean, reach out. You don't have to suffer in silence. We're so proud of you. I just want to tell you that, because acknowledging that I wake up angry every day, that's a good job, sister.
Yeah, that's step one into being able to feel a little less anger, just acknowledging it that you're feeling that way. So, yeah, just like Juliana said, that's amazing that you're aware of where you're at right now. And that's just where you are right now. It doesn't have to be where you are this afternoon, tomorrow, a month from now. It's what feels right for you to move through it. So, any last, I'm trying to see, I don't know, just because you are given a cactus doesn't mean you have to sit on it. That's very true, Brandy. I would probably trip over it and still sit on it accidentally, but yes. Um, I don't see anybody else's comments. If I've missed any, I will come back later and check. If you have any other topics you would like me to cover with the ladies or myself, I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows, to bring a little bit more love, kindness, compassion, and peace to the topic. If it's a topic I'm comfortable discussing, I will. If it's a topic that I think absolutely needs a panel discussion, I will do that as well. And ladies, any last words? And also, what is going on in your world? Let people know what you're up to. Shawna, I'll start with you because you're right next to me on the screen.
All right. So thank you again for this wonderful conversation. So speaking of self-love, I have my beautiful yellow lab Luna that I had for 12 years, and she helped me embrace that and myself more, and so much more that she helped me embrace. And I have my book, Soulmate Dog, that I wrote about her and my journey with her, right? The journey, the wisdom, everything that, she helped me to inspire within myself. And that's on pre-order right now until, with an autograph copy that comes with a bookmark, includes shipping and handling in the US. And that's on pre-order until the 14th of this month, for $22. All after the broadcast, I'll put the link in the comments if anybody's interested. So, I mean, who doesn't love a good dog book, right? So there you
Exactly.
go.
And I don't know if you mentioned it, but Shauna, you are an animal communicator. So you help people learn about living pets and pets that have crossed the rainbow bridge. You're going to be back here tomorrow and we'll be doing some animal communication as well. So she's the real deal and has my soul dog passed away 2 years ago. And anytime she brings her up on the call, I'm stop it, I'm going to start crying. But she's amazing support for many people on dealing with sick animals or missing an animal that has passed on, or just a puppy that you need to figure out too. So she's quite helpful on that. Rachel, how about you, sister?
Well, I am fully on working on web design right now, and I'm not very technical, so it's it's been a journey for sure. Technology is my friend, and so I'm designing the website going on, and I'm gonna have a sale soon. I'm just kind of focusing on that because I feel like once I get the website going, things will be more of ease and grace for me, and I can concentrate on jewelry. I have a little community I've created called Creativity with Rachel Elizabeth Design. It's a Facebook group, so it's jewelry. It's where I showcase my jewelry, but it's also a lot of woo. So come on over and join us over there. It's a good time. And yeah, thank you again, Kara. I love being involved in this. I'm so grateful for all of you.
I love having you involved, but quickly, can you explain the tree of life, why you focus on that?
Oh yes. Well, in the span of the last 4 years, I have lost my mother, my grandmother, my uncle, my father-in-law, and my husband had a heart attack. And there's been a pandemic. So I was speaking of my grandmother, and she was predeceased by my mother, and she was very much into the woo and the spirituality. And she I asked her, I said, what signs are you going to send me when when you transition? And she told me one day, she said, I'm going to send you trees. And I said, okay. I'm like, how are you going to send me trees? And right around the time she was transitioning in the Christmas of 2020, she passed away. And I remembered this conversation we had the morning she passed. So she had sent me trees, and I had started making the tree of life on the crystal cabochons during her transition.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kate, we are here at 11:30 tomorrow. I am here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 11:30 Central Time, which is Chicago time. So tomorrow will be Shauna. Next week, I'm not sure what the topics are, but if you have one specifically, let me know. And Giuliana,
I just want to shamelessly plug our 365 days of self-love. It's
okay,
a
first of
free
all,
group.
it's not a shameless plug. It is a
Okay.
plug.
Plug our beautiful book, 365 Days of Self-Love, Daily Exercises from Experts Around the World. It's all available on all Amazon platforms, and we have a free group on Facebook. So, join us. I will put the link. You can join us so that if you need a step forward, join us there. Today, for February 9th, is Forgiveness Hawaiian Style, and the author might be on live, so you'll want to go and check that. And then I want to plug my book, Love Yourself to Health, as well. Today, anybody that wants it, I'll sell it for 10 Canadian plus 10 shipping, and I'll ship it to the US or Canada for that amount. So $20, and you get some great resources, and I'll put those. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be of service. Carol, thank you. Shawna, Rachel, I got her beautiful creation yesterday. Absolutely, I'm getting all goosies again. I've got so many goosies today. I love that. And Shawna is A1 animal communicator. So I really loved this day. Thank you, ladies, and thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for joining on self-love. I usually have a panel once a month or sometimes twice a month. I don't know what March's topic will be yet. It is the second Wednesdays of the month, but we'll come up with something. And again, some of them might join me other times. Shawna joins me for the animal communications once a month. And if you have topics that you want to have a little bit more love, kindness, compassion, and peace added to the topic, put it in comments and I will add it to my list on what to talk about. I do know tomorrow's. Hello. Tomorrow is Shawna. I don't have to wonder what tomorrow's topic is.
I have a great topic that I feel compelled to share. We should maybe talk about springing into action.
Springing into action. Okay, that will be the March topic. We've got it right there. Thank you, Rachel. You better be on the call, sister. So we will be doing springing into action and what that means on starting off your spring and celebrating yourself in that. So thank you, ladies, so much for being here. I appreciate each one of you. I'm grateful to know you. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. Sending each of you so much love to know that you are worth self-love and worth the connection of family, friends, whatever it is to live your best life. You are worthy of that. Remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. So we'll talk soon. We will talk tomorrow, actually. Ladies, if you stay on when I close up, I can say goodbye to you personally as well. So thank you, everyone, and we will talk soon. So long for now.